Good morning, everybody. It is Jillian. Happy Sunday morning live. The really awesome thing about being where I'm at, the really awesome thing of being where I'm at with the Jilly Juice is that I get to watch all of your progress and revisit where I was, where you are now. Okay. So I'm in my healing process towards the end of a healing symptom that I just went through because there's no telling when the healing process, I don't even say ends because it's all about upgrades. Your initial healing process is going to be ebb and flow, up and down. Biochemistry will change. And your biochemistry is directly attached to your belief system. Okay? And so, whatever, like I said a couple days ago, you're going to have to expect your belief system to change. When I had specific belief systems over the last 4 years, it is so easy to rationalize why cannabis may have spiritual properties. It's easy to rationalize why Trump is a better president over somebody else, or why you even buy into the politics to begin with. It's so easy to rationalize why you would yell at someone or be really judgmental over someone. It's really easy to rationalize how, however, your biochemistry manifests that day, to make it be okay, even when you kind of know deep down it's not. But, you already said what you said, you already did what you did. If something is worth it to you, you'd clean it up. And sometimes it's not even if that whether it's not worth it to you, it's whether or not you're willing right now to take a look at it because you don't have the strength. Okay? I'm telling you, whatever belief system you hold right now, your biochemistry, and you're on the J juice, it is going to change. It is not something that you can rationalize to me, especially around pot, especially around whatever belief system you hold. Because even now, even now, could my belief system around whatever it is I hold right now at this point, I'm trying to figure out what belief systems I hold. Yeah, people can live in, definitely, definitely. But I don't have any religion that I hold dear to me. I don't really have any political persuasion. People follow the rules or the laws of life, or they follow the laws of death, and then man-made law somewhere is going to let you know whether or not you overstep their boundaries. But no matter what, natural law will trump man-made law. So I don't have any religious belief systems really. I don't have any political belief systems. Yes, I think there's a higher power, which is the design, the overall design, the grand architect of life. And that's, I think, what the G stands for. That's right. The G stands for, that's right, in the Freemasons, the grand architect. Holy crap. Okay, so the Freemasons, they believe in the grand architect of everything, and then they're trying to be little grand architects. Now I understand why we have such a very controlled, a very contrived, very synthetic society with intention, that you can also counter whatever intention that is being thrown at you. Because it's like a whole layer of architects. Right now, you think you're the architect of your life. You are on some level, but if you don't change your biochemistry, you're kind of reactive to somebody else's intentions. And even then, when you change your biochemistry, you're still going to be reactive on some level to somebody else's intentions because that's the world that you live in. With every, third law of Newton is for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So no matter what, you're going to react. But it's how aggressive you react is going to be the difference. So, so I remember a couple of years ago, you know, it would be okay to, I would see that the whole point, and yeah, you occasionally smoke some whatever, some ganja, whatever, that's great. People will take the remedies um, I don't know, just rationalize the world they live in, rationalize their biochemistry, rationalize their belief system. Like find every evidence. No, it's grand architect. It's for every, which is part of geometry too, John. But I mean, people would rationalize every, I would rationalize. People would rationalize all their belief systems. And in a couple of years ago, I would rationalize all the different stuff. And then I would do something and it wouldn't have any effect on me. Okay, like I would smoke something and it would have no effect on me. Now it depends on what type of stuff that you'd smoke too. Okay, so if you really want to get some kind of effect, it has to be really strong. But then what's the point? What's the point in messing with your hormones? Like right now, Eden Ray is experiencing really lucid dreams. Okay, like really lucid dreams, like super lucid, which means that her hormones, her biochemistry is at the surface, or she's recalibrating everything in her body, and she's also, she's also going through the baby process. Okay, so all of these hormones are at the surface, and so it's going to mess with your reality. Every type of hormone that you have at the surface is going to control your reality. Your biochemistry controls your reality. So that's why I kind of like, I chuckle. And I know I was aggressive a couple years ago. Let me tell you, I have a reputation for being a fucking bitch. And I'll tell you, that's part of my healing process, is the fact the way I reacted to people who triggered me. And if you trigger me in a certain way, I can act like a total freaking bitch. So I have a reputation of that. And sometimes I'll go off on the rails and be like telling somebody off. And you see me tell somebody off on Facebook. I'll tag them and be like, bah, 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 and say what I say. And then I will rationalize, I say, what I did good. And someone be like, in their world, she freaking destroyed that person. And I lost friends over this. I lost friends over my healing process. But that's your healing process. You can't, I'm not saying you can't control, but you have to go through your different levels of whatever you have to say or do. Now, obviously, you don't want to hurt somebody physically. You don't really want to intentionally destroy somebody. But there are certain things that you hold dear to you that somebody is totally challenging, or they're crossing boundaries that you have set time and time again, and finally you really didn't set the boundaries, or they wouldn't be crossing them. So you verbalize boundaries and they keep crossing them. Then at some point, it's like you haven't set a real definitive boundary. And so, yes, you blow up and then you say what you say. And you can't take back what you say. Okay? So I've experienced that. And you guys are going to experience that too. Whenever you do a rant, one of you sent me a rant that you had that you want me to share, and I'm like, I'm not going to share that rant because it's too aggressive for me to say, yeah, okay, I get behind this. I'm telling you, when you understand that there's going to be death in the world, you step on an ant, there's going to be death. You have to go and make a hamburger. Well, an animal is going to have to die unless you want to do incognito, where you have bioengineered meat, which is basically fake meat. Okay, it's just minerals. I mean, you can rationalize, be okay, it's just minerals. But if you're trying to be anti-GMO and anti-processed food with eating fake meat, well, why eat meat at all? Because, meat has specific nutritive benefits. Okay, yes, we do live in a world where there is excess killing going on, and it's not attached to a need, and those are imbalanced people. You can't rationalize with people who just indiscriminately hurt people with no reason. I could see someone had a reason because they think this person is hurting somebody, or they think that they have, like, if you can get their logic behind why they're being an aggressor versus a defender, or being a vigilante and defending somebody else. Now, I don't want to, defend vigilantism. I understand the reasoning behind it, but I don't condone it. So, there's going to be killings out there in the world. But you can't reason with those that have a biochemical rationalization for their actions. And so you almost have to either let them play it out if it's not illegal, or you step back, and this is what I do with some of you that are still, dealing with your biochemistry and rationalizing your belief system, your thought process, whatever. Before I'd be like, I'd be like, whatever, I would say something that would be like, well, what the hell? like I would try to point out their illogic, their non-logic, I guess. And there's no point in doing that because then they would have a rationalization for that. They would have it'd be back and forth, back and forth. What's the point? So what I say at this point is be okay with where you're at. Understand where I'm at. I don't have really a need to do anything that's really like crazy illicit. Now, last night I smoked a few cigarettes last night, but it's interesting that I don't feel like I smoked cigarettes. It was like I smoked a cigarette, I got a little bit of a euphoric feeling, and that was it. It wasn't like, when you smoke cigarettes, you feel like it stays with you, like it's. And I don't really have like the reason why I smoked it because I was, I was I've been smoking a few cigarettes like after my husband comes home because I'm trying to figure out how to angle my book, and sometimes stirring up chemistry in my head kind of mixes stuff up. And so anyways, and so sometimes I like to have like a little bit of a different mix, a different chemistry come into my body, right? And so cigarettes can do that. But obviously, if you have an imbalance, like a mineral imbalance or other types of imbalances and major predispositions, they say, okay, don't smoke cigarettes because it's going to compound your issues. But if you have a pretty much a clear gut, a clear liver, a clear filtration system, clear lymphatic system, then yes, you can partake every once in a while with things like cigarettes, alcohol. Like when I was over at, what was it? The bachelorette party. I drank a lot of alcohol, and I didn't get, I didn't throw up. I didn't even get that drunk because my filtration process was so on point that I was able to release the excess. But damn, when I did drink my J juice, I definitely felt temperature changes. I felt a lot of different biochemical changes as I was releasing the excess stuff. Okay, so anyways, so yeah, so it's you won't have you reason to play with your hormones when you get to a certain level. But now is me smoking a cigarette and saying, oh, I drink occasionally a rationalization? But it depends on what it is that you want to espouse. If you're that judgmental against smoking and drinking and then you go and do that, then you call yourself a hypocrite. Now I'm going to say at some point you'll be able to go to Rome and do what Romans do. But if Romans are doing stuff that are really, really like imbalanced, then you got to check your lifestyle. Make sure you're not falling into somebody else's lifestyle that you have to constantly keep taking J juice on a continuous basis. I haven't done J juice since the last time I was on this Facebook. Okay, I have not drank J juice since the last time. I haven't drank my coffee yet either. Okay, and so I was going through some menopause type symptoms that what I have characterized is another level of evolution, because menopause is a symptom, and it's a symptom of evolution, the body trying to evolve and get to the next level, whatever it is. And so when you are with cancer disease and chronic illness, it's the shutting down of your reproductive system because you won't be able to carry a baby because your body is shutting down, though you're not going to die tomorrow, but you may die in 10 years. Okay? And if the grand architect has said in its own way that 20 years is the perfect time for an adult, or 30 or 40 years, perfect time for an adult to stay an adult and mature to take care of that child, because it takes us longer to rear a child, right? It's not like a bunny where it's like, a month for the bunny to become like an adult. No, we have a lot of years for a child to become an adult. So yeah, so anyways, so when the death trajectory, menopause is like the body shutting down the reproductive system because you're not, it's saying that now you can, really shouldn't be having babies now. On my end, this last month, I've been feeling, the different hot flashes, and I've characterized it as another evolution because it is. I don't have any other symptoms really except for the hot flashes and maybe a little bit of digestive issues, but nothing major. What's a digestive issue? Well, I could poop every day, but it's a different kind of poop, and I could probably not have to poop every day, but it's a different feeling. So that's really it. I mean, oh yeah, and the itching was another, which the itching is, so the heat flashes and itching is really not, it's kind of calmed down. I still feel occasional, but it's not like where I didn't have to sleep with a towel over my head last night. I did not have to sleep with a towel over my head last night. So my temperature even overnight has calmed down. And still no period. Okay. But John, yeah, Google what is the G in Freemasons, and it's Grand Architect. I'll even find it for you. G in Freemasons, Freemasonry, Grand Architect. I read it somewhere. Yeah. G stands for God, the Grand Architect of the Universe, and the sacred geometry for the Grand Lodge of Freemasonry. So God, but I mean, what is God? God is like relative to what you believe. But yeah, the great architect of the universe, the grand architect, it's Freemasonry. So I'll just like copy and paste all this. This is what's on Google, but you can Google it yourself. But I'll just put it here. But it makes sense because yeah, when when you know all of the components of the body, mind, and spirit, and the biochemistry, and then your environment, then you can create whatever reality you want. You can create a reality in somebody by giving them, by messing with their microbiome, messing with their hormones, and then giving them words, giving them ideas, giving them a goals and dreams and belief systems. And now you've just programmed a human. No different than programming a dog to go and play fetch. No different doing Pavlov's dog, the positive and negative reinforcement. You do this, here's a cookie. You do that, here's some money. You do that, I'm going to spank you because I don't want to encourage that behavior. That's all humans are, is basically Pavlov's dog. We have maybe a little bit more advanced, what we would call advanced, but no different. It's just take the same behaviors, the same concepts, and apply it to a human that you apply to a dog. It's not any different. You train a human to do this. You train a dog to do that. You train a human to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and go to work. You train a dog the same thing. And when the body starts degrading, the training that you have is not taking, and then you have to go and reapply or come down harder or find a different way to train someone to still do what you're supposed to do. And so some people and then they call that programming, and that's what they do with computers. And that's the binary code, and that's letters and binary code, and then humans are just as easily programmable as any animal, any domestic animal. Okay, so grand architect. The architect of society are Freemasons. There's nothing wrong with them, but I think they need to have a different outcome. You don't have to die in our society, but I think the reason why they've bred us so much, why we have so much reproduction in the population, was the fact that they were looking to create a more advanced infrastructure. And humans are actually very smart, very logical if you can allow them to fulfill their potential. The difference is right now between now and with Jilly Juice is the fact that you're only able to fulfill a certain percentage of your potential. And some societies, some socioeconomic areas, some cultures are allowed to fulfill even more of their potential. And in some areas, they've stopped your potential to where you're like, what happened to this person? Why is this person not really understanding just simple logic? Why does it seem like they're not all there? And this person is like, a Bill Gates, freaking smart as a whip. It's because somebody has messed with your microbiome and either allowed you to have a certain amount of potential and opportunity, and then maybe not allowed someone to have that. And it depends upon, yes, money and your background and obviously who you are affiliated with. Some people have the luck where they have all the right genes. They're a trust fund baby, but they have still bought into that people should die someday. So their trust fund will only last them so long because they're in a very aggressive environment that is going to expedite their self-destruct programming. But their parents were great contributors to different campaigns, Hollywood and the oil industry or the energy industry. I was a nanny. I've seen how, a lot of the trust fund babies out there. where they really don't have to work. They are now filling their time with just things that you'd want to do, when you retire, you know. But that's the life of a trust fund. The trust funders really should be the ones to be doing JJUs because they have the time, the money, and the influence. They could change society. If I can get a trust fund baby to understand JJUs and influence their people, wow, we could really change society pretty quickly. But they're very much entrenched in their parents' belief system and whatever it is that they believe in. So, rationalizing your biochemistry is definitely part of the J juice because I've done it. Okay, I rationalize my belief system, I've rationalized my behaviors. I've rationalized a lot during my process. I rationalized even, the whole thing with what was causing cancer disease and chronic illness. I found that, candida was like the common denominator. But of course, when you have 6 permanent fixtures of your microbiome, fungus is one of them. So of course, candida, any imbalance in your fungus is going to contribute to cancer disease and chronic illness. So that was a given, but that wasn't the only thing. And then as I came upon new information or I changed my biochemistry, then I had a new belief system or I just expounded on my current belief system. And then I'm like, okay, well, now I'm going to switch everything up. Remember my belief system around pink Himalayan salt, ancestral knowledge? I rationalized pink salt, ancestral knowledge, came from the Himalayan mountains, from Tibet, so spiritual. So it has all these minerals. I mean, I'm telling you, when a person has a belief system that they don't have any other information to counter it, they're going to defend whatever their belief system is until they come upon new information or their biochemistry changes. So those that defend ganja and defend cannabis and defend different drugs that mess with your hormones, because that's what drugs do. They just mess with your hormones. It's not like you have a spiritual awakening. Okay? It's like I don't even call what I'm doing a spiritual awakening. I use it because I know it's going to reach those that are all into the spiritual world. But it's just a different way of experiencing stuff. Because really, can you substantiate that there's something higher out there? I haven't seen any angel come to me and say, hey, I'm a Pleiadian, nice to meet you. Oh, I'm a reptilian, hey, nice to meet you. I've had dreams, but that's all of just the memories and the biochemistry. So yeah, so I just you'll be rationalizing your belief system, rationalizing everything. Plants and animals and minerals all will have psychoactive properties if you bond them with different chemistries. Okay? The plant world is just basically your environment. There's a lot of plants that will mess with the biochemistry. Even mercury. You mess with mercury, it'll mess with your biochemistry. But are you going to do mercury to have some psychoactive experience? No. Okay? Um, so it's like, but I understand the point behind people who are into plant-based stuff. But I'm telling you, you know, the Indians, the Indians before the Spanish and whoever came over and pretty much took over, they understood the balance of the land. They understood respecting the herd, respecting the environment, and advanced man came in and said, okay, instead of allowing Mother Nature to kind of keep the balance, we're gonna create the balance. But we're gonna have imbalances along the way until we create a perfect balance. All right, because even the Indians went to war with each other. They weren't perfect. Okay, they went to war. They killed, they died and reproduced. They had shamans who did peyote. They did their drugs and had these spiritual awakenings and had all their different belief systems. And there's nothing perfect about them, but they understood that you had to kill an animal to eat meat. You're not gonna get away from killing something living in this society. As far as you walk down the street, you're gonna step on an ant or a worm or a slug, or you drive a car, you might hit a squirrel by mistake. Shit happens. It's not your intention, so don't feel bad that it happens. But if you're intentionally killing things indiscriminately without utilizing it, without having a reason to utilize it for something, okay, if you're just indiscriminately killing things, then yeah, you have a problem. And I don't like that world. But that's not for me to say. I cannot rationalize with someone who has a different biochemistry than me. You can't even get through to people that don't believe in J juice. What makes you think that you're going to, make somebody believe in your belief system around the J juice or around anything, that you have politically believe in? Okay? So if I can't express this enough to those that are on the J juice, that are going through biochemical changes, don't get too attached to your current belief system in biochemistry. Inevitably, it's going to change. And be okay with change. If you still want to stay stuck with your belief system while on the J juice, then you need more J juice. When you realize that you can drink a shiz ton of alcohol and not get completely obliterated and have a major hangover and whatever, you realize that your biochemistry has changed. You couldn't drink that much alcohol a couple years ago prior to the J juice. If anything, it would make you sick. It made me sick. Not that I would turn to drinking. I haven't drank really an alcohol since the bachelorette party, or no, since the wedding. September 12th was the wedding. So it's been about actually almost a month since I've drank alcohol, and I really don't need to. Or smoke pot. I haven't smoked pot in a while. Okay? But I have no desire to. Now I'll smoke a cigarette every so often because I like to have that different feeling, like to kind of just get my biochemistry going. Because I don't have a lot of stimulus around me. But I'm okay with that because I really need to pull out, the information out of my current biochemistry without cannibalizing other people. Though yesterday, when we went to Starbucks yesterday as a date, we hung out with a young lady who was pretty cool. Very, very, very high energy. And, didn't have a lot of people to talk to because she's kind of new in the area. So we spent a couple hours just hanging out, talking with her, and it was nice because it was in a different conversation than what I usually have. So that was a chemistry that was cool. That was nice to have. So sometimes it's okay to mix it up and bring in different stimulus to kind of jog the brain and jog your body to manifest something differently. If you feel you're like, you have a block somewhere. Okay? So it's okay, to do things, like I drink coffee. Not that it's making me super wired, but it's nice. It's nice. It doesn't overtax my adrenals because my system is on point. It's not like high super caffeine. But even the stuff I drink at Starbucks, like I did drink the nitro with nitro cold brew, and it didn't give me the high like it usually gives me. So I'm just like, all right, I'm immune to nitro cold brew now. I'm adapted to it. It's not making me really super high energy. So, and I'm not gonna keep upping it. I'm not going down that road. So I just lay it off for a bit and be like, okay. So anyways, there's my Sunday morning live. I'm gonna write some stuff. But remember, people are easily programmed. You can program a biochemistry. You can program a belief system into somebody. No different than programming a dog to play fetch or roll over. Okay, and so you can reprogram your body, and you can reprogram your mind, and you can reprogram your spirit. And when you stay on the J juice and you look back on how you rationalize your belief system, you're like, yeah, it's so true. It's very easy for those who are not doing J juice to rationalize that J juice will not work in the way that I've said it could definitely work. Because they're not doing it. They're in their current belief system. They're in their current biochemistry that's not giving them that opportunity to even consider new information. So there's no way I can tell you what it's going to be like down the road for you when it comes to psychoactive drugs, and you're very clear. There's no way I could really tell you what it's like to drink alcohol down the road, you know, when you've been on the J juice. You're going to have to experience what all of that stuff is going to be like and then have your own belief system and how you express it. But right now, at this point, I really have no desire for drugs, alcohol, or anything that messes with the hormones, except for the hormones that provide life. and my circadian rhythms, and to allow me to adapt to whatever microbiome I go into. But I have no interest in messing with my hormones to create any kind of thing except for, like, yeah, for this, really. But this is very mild. Okay. So, anyways, um, yeah, that's kind of it. All right. Bye. Happy Sunday. Bye.